Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here. Remember how we were all supposed to be in a patriotic elbows up mode against America? We weren't supposed to travel to the US. We were supposed to stay in Canada and keep our tourism dollars here. Go and explore the natural beauty of Canada. Go to the countryside on a hike, on a bike ride. Go on a picnic with your family. Well, at least don't do it in the Maritimes, because if you attempt to do it in the Maritimes, you will get a knee put in your back and have to either pay a $25,000 or more fine, like Jeff Everly just experienced, or in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, you could be put in prison for 6 months. We don't even put people who joined ISIS in prison for that amount of time. We, in fact, let violent criminals and people who are repeat offenders out on bail after many offenses. But if you dare go and eat a pre-made sandwich in a park, oh my goodness, you better hope that Tim Houston isn't on the job, because he's going to sprint in there, like tackle you, put you over the hood of a police car, and make sure that you're never going to see the light of day again. I'm going to get into this video and start talking about some of these these emergency orders that have been coming out in provinces like Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland. I assume that PEI will eventually do it too, because why not? If there's a silver lining in all of this, I hope it's that it wakes up a lot of Canadians to realizing just how easily its governments go authoritarian, just how little respect they really have for people's charter rights. This isn't even things that you would see in Europe. European countries would have riots if people suggested that you couldn't go on a hike, not starting a fire, not creating a fire, just walking. That is too much. And I was on a podcast the other day. I was on Rebel News' live show, and it was pointed out that wouldn't it be good to actually have people in provincial parks if you are worried about fire? Yeah, don't let people have fires. Find someone if they have a bonfire. No one's that stupid if you put up all the right signs and you give out those announcements. But wouldn't it be good to have people sitting around having picnics and being a little spot if fires were starting, or if someone was trying to commit arson, like we have seen in provinces like Saskatchewan, a volunteer firefighter that started 30 fires himself? That was an actual thing that happened. So anytime people are pretending that arson does not have to do with the yearly fires is kidding themselves. Is it the majority of it? No, but it's creating a lot more fire to deal with than we should actually, have to. And plus, arsonists aren't going way out in the middle of the woods and starting fires. They're starting fires closer to large cities. But before I get into it, guys, I just want to remind you, hey, if you like the show, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers before mid-December, or else I owe all my friends dinner. And then, of course, leave a comment, really helps us on the algorithm. And I do enjoy scrolling through and seeing what you guys are talking about and responding to some people. Although you guys have smashed it in the last two videos, and I believe both videos have more than 1,300 comments. So don't be shocked on those ones if I don't get back to you on something, but I do attempt to get back to a variety of people. But here was the original announcement by Tim Houston, which, again, by the way, another piece of silver lining here. Tim Houston wants to replace Pierre Poilievre as the federal conservative leader. And this, what I will call a scandal, has basically destroyed Tim Houston's chances of being elected anywhere outside of his own province. Maybe it's also going to kill a lot of his support in that province. I know it was a New Brunswick based party, but there needs to be way more People's Alliance parties in the Maritimes in order to hold these fake conservatives like Tim Houston accountable. He's the one conservative premier, but if you had a conservative premier in Newfoundland right now, you'd probably have the same result. I believe if Blaine Higgs was still the New Brunswick premier, he wouldn't do this nonsense. But we get these soft, like red Tory, conservatives out in the East who don't do anything conservative. This is why I support the New Blue Party in Ontario. Doug Ford is a lot like Tim Houston. He just takes on soft stances, doesn't cut anything, just takes a liberal budget and tries to manage it a little bit better. And he reacts to everything the liberals want him to react to. Liberal media says that that climate change is causing forest fires and that we can have people out in the woods. He will keep you locked down. But here is the original announcement by Tim Houston.
Effective 4 p.m. today, we're telling Nova Scotians, stay out of the woods. We are restricting travel and activities that really aren't necessary for most of us. Hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are not permitted.
Fishing. You can't go fish. You know that activity that causes forest fires all the time. People with boats in the middle of the water cause forest fires. 9 out of 10 forest fires are caused by guys trying to catch a trout.
Trail systems through woods are off limits. Camping is allowed, but only in official campgrounds. The fine for violating any of these bans is the same as the fine for the ban on burning, $25,000.
Why? Sorry, but if you're so dang concerned about fires, why are you letting people camp in official campgrounds where they presumably may have to start a fire in order to, make some hot dogs or whatever? Like, you can't fish, you can't hike, you can't do anything in the woods. And again, the Nova Scotia emergency measures are so bad, you can't even hike if you own the land yourself. And I like this because I think it is needed for at least one person to do this to set a precedent. But there is this man, Jeff Everly, who I believe is also a former PPC candidate. He went out into the woods specifically to get fined in order to challenge the law. I remember him saying it ahead of time, and then he cut a video where he walked into the woods basically to point out that he was there, and then got the government to send him a ticket. And it was like $28,000 as here. Jeff Everly says, I got fined $28,872.50 for walking into the woods of Nova Scotia. This arsonist got no fine and no jail time. The man who sent the 2023 Nova Scotia wildfire Barrington was charged with 1, lighting a fire on private-owned land without the permission of the owner-occupier, 2, failing to take responsible efforts to prevent the spread of the fire, and 3, leaving the fire unattended but not arson. And he is commenting on the CBC News headline that says, in Saskatchewan volunteer firefighter who set 30 fires in a month sentenced for arson. And he actually didn't. If tyrant Timmy Houston really cared about preventing wildfires, he would prosecute left-wing climate zealous eco-terrorists to the full extent of the law and leave the rest of us alone. And while that is not the cause of most fires, I get where he's coming from. You actually do get nutcase climate zealots who think people don't take climate change seriously enough. I'm going to start a fire. Then they're really going to take it seriously because they'll know climate change did this and not me literally setting the fire myself. But now let's move on to another premier. We can skip over the woman who's the current premier of New Brunswick because she is so boring. I don't want to watch it. But here is not Fleury, the former Newfoundland prime minister, but here is the new guy, I forget the name of, announcing his own bans. Remember, all of these bans were kicked off by a conservative, a supposed conservative, Tim Houston. It was actually the Liberals in New Brunswick and Newfoundland following his lead.
So as we said, we have taken decisive action to help address the situation. Yesterday, we announced we would increase fines for violating the forest fire regulations. And as I said today, we'll share the details. So effective today, new fines will range from $50,000 to $150,000. For a first offense, when a ticket is issued, fines will increase from $75 to $50,000. And imprisonment in default of payment will increase from 3 days to up to 6 months. For a subsequent offense, fines will increase from $150 to $75,000. Imprisonment for not paying will increase from 6 days to up to 6 months. Where there's a summons issued, a first offense, fines will increase from $500 to $50,000 to $100,000 range.
So you get the point here. It's going to be 3 minutes of him talking about all the things the government will do to you if you don't follow their current emergency measures, in which they are targeting all of the wrong people. Again, the main people actually the government should be targeting is itself. It should be targeting its people in its own forestry ministry and other areas of government where they should be doing proper forest management but have not been. This is why you end up getting massive wildfires out in places like California, but you don't get the same ones in places like Texas. There's a reason why wildfires are pretty much always bad in parts of Alberta that are supposed to be managed by the federal government. because they don't manage them. And we even saw letters in the government, memos in the government to this effect, where then Environment and Climate Change Minister Stephen Guilbeault was literally musing about just completely ending the forest management system and just letting it go. And then that was then followed by the wildfires around Jasper that ended up burning the entire town down pretty much. I believe that was Jasper and it didn't quite get to Banff. But it was nuts that we had a fire like that right after a guy was like, well, why do we even have forest management? And we weren't even doing it right. But the same people, Stephen Guilbeault included, have the audacity to then say, well, that's climate change for you. Is it? Is it? Or are you guys not doing proper forest management and then using the consequences of your own actions to then blame the people and try and fine and lock them up for doing basic activities that have nothing to do with forest fires? Ugh. Anyways, by the way, arsonists do not follow the law. I'm not sure why taking hikers off the trail is going to prevent somebody who wants to do harm from showing up and lighting a fire. Again, having people in the woods would actually help prevent some stuff like this. But that is just kind of the character of Canada at this point. Don't actually do the government's job, spend too much money still not doing the job on other nonsense, and then attack the people for wanting to live their lives normally because I guess they are responsible for the consequences of the government's inaction. But that should be it for me today, guys. Again, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, do all that fantastic stuff for me, and I will see you guys next time.